Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce GTX 1660 Ti in Horizon Forbidden West. This one is the Zotac AMP edition of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power Up's GPU Z. It has 6GB of GDDR6 memory, and over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 5 3600X and 32GB of DDR4 3200MHz CL14. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, let's go over the settings first. I'm starting at 1080p resolution using TAA over here and the very low graphics preset with low textures as well. We got 6GB. I haven't tested a 6GB card in this game yet, but I think it should be capable of running medium textures, maybe. High textures is a bit too much because the 8GB cards with high textures go up to like 6.5, 7GB of VRAM utilization. And by the way, as usual now, I have the VRAM allocation and VRAM utilization there on the on-screen display. So anyway, we're here in one of the most intensive areas in the game, which is the Burning Shores DLC, with a little settlement here, with a lot of NPCs around and a lot of stuff going on. This is super VRAM intensive in this area, by the way, and it's only utilizing 4.9GB of it, so it's still very smooth experience. As you can clearly tell, the frame time graph is smooth for the most part. It has some little spikes here and there, but those aren't really noticeable. Now around here is very intensive usually. It's not really dropping by that much. Unfortunately, if you want to keep the native resolution at 1080p and achieve 60 plus FPS all of the time, that's not going to be possible unless you like drop the shadows and actually play with the minimum settings, but that looks like crap, so don't do that, okay? Very low settings still looks alright, aside from the textures being very low quality, as you can see. But yeah, it runs very well. 1% lows are close to the averages, and that's what you want to see for a smooth gameplay experience. And yeah, it's a good start here for a GTX 1660 Ti for sure. Looking forward to see what it can do at like medium settings, high settings with medium textures, and so on. But yeah, I wouldn't really play like this, but if you really want like 60-ish FPS average, this is the way to go. Now, I kind of want to test it in another scenario, another area here, so I'm back to the base game, and it looks really good with all of this vegetation, even on the very low settings, since we don't have many barren textures just showing up, you know, and it's more like a forest area with a lot of foliage. It looks really damn good. It also drops into the 60s sometimes, but now it's mostly at around like 70 to 80 FPS most of the time here, at least in this part of the map, which I thought was going to be intensive, guys, because of all of the vegetation. Again, that's usually very intensive in games, but this is a very well optimized title, and it's kind of refreshing to see that vegetation isn't really intensive in this title. Look at that, the lighting and stuff, everything looks pretty damn good still. The colors still pop, of course. And now the VRAM utilization is a little bit lower than it was previously. Over in this area, it's dropping to around the same values as the Burning Shores, so there will be some areas in the base game that are as intensive as the Burning Shores, as you can see. Dropped down into the 50s already, but it's not really in the 50s most of the time, you know, so that's great to see. It is a smooth experience overall. Well, starting to stutter a little bit. VRAM usage went down a lot there. What the hell? 3.6GB. What the... I don't know what happened, but yeah, we got a little stutter. VRAM usage went down, and I think the RAM usage stood the same. So it didn't really swap anything into VRAM or anything. It's just... yeah, a little stutter there. Kind of weird, honestly. Can I go up there? Yes, I can. I've never been to this part of the map, by the way. It's interesting to take a look at the different areas. Oh my god! Especially when I don't die doing so. Also, another thing to mention is that, oh my god, that's a big one right there. The Ryzen 5 3600X is enough to achieve 60 plus FPS all of the time, as you can see, especially in areas like this one. So it's good to see great CPU optimization as well, because You know, I was kind of worried going down to a Ryzen 5 3600X. I've been testing GPUs on the 7950X 3D with half of the cores disabled, which is basically a 7800X 3D. And with the 1660 Ti, I wasn't really sure whether or not to test it with that system or this one, but I'm glad I chose the 3600X because yeah, it keeps up, basically. It's the recommended requirement CPU as well, or 3600 is, which is basically the same without with a couple of hundred megahertz slower. Okay, let's go. Let's see what I can do. Oh boy, that's a big one. That's a big one. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Feels responsive as well. I just suck at aiming in this game, but hey, it is what it is. Oh boy, wait a second. I kind of want to do this. There are a ton of them right there. Fight me, you bastards. I want to see some particle effects and so on. All right, here we go. Oh boy, there it is. That's exactly what I want to see. Look at that, guys. Still looks great, you know, aside from the textures. It's all right, and given that it is utilizing only like around 4 gigabytes at the moment outside of the Burning Shores DLC, it's a good start. Once again, good start, and we should probably be capable of playing on medium settings just fine with this card. All right. Gonna stop it there, and let's go back to the Burning Shores on the medium settings. Also, I'm not testing FSR. With FSR, you could get 60 plus even in the DLC, of course, but it just looks a bit too rough in this title, and you could use some dynamic resolution scaling as well, but it doesn't really look that great at 1080p resolution. At higher resolutions, it does, but yeah, it is what it is. Now, let's go up to medium settings. I'm skipping low here because I think medium should be fine with this card. I just started at the very low as a baseline to see what I can expect, you know. And we're back here. As you can see, oh boy, it's starting to stutter a little bit. Oh no, it's already swapping things into the RAM. Look at that. Previously, we were seeing 11 point something, like close to 12 gigabytes of RAM utilization, but now it's at 13 gigabytes, and the VRAM usage, well, it already swapped. That's why the frame time isn't as stable. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a terrible experience and a super stuttery one. It just means that we will see that odd inconsistency in the frame time graph here and there, indicating a stutter, and you know, it will stutter a little bit more than previously. Previously it was absolutely buttery smooth, so yeah. Still, it's much better than many games that consider themselves optimized out there, especially in 2023 and 24. So yeah, this game in its worst state, when it's swapping RAM and VRAM actually into RAM and stuttering, is better than many games out there. So it's definitely still playable. A lot of people play many other titles with a lot more stuttering than this. Would I play like this though? I'm not sure, guys. This is really hard now. That's what she said, by the way. No, but it's hard to decide because because some of the textures, as you can see, even on medium, they don't look very good. A lot of things do look great, like the ambient occlusion, the shadows, and so on. It looks really good in that department. The lighting as well, the lens flares, which I can't really see at the moment, but they're beautiful in this game. But those textures aren't anything special yet, and it already started stuttering, and the 6 gigabytes are already not enough. But that's only here in one of the most intensive areas in the entire game. It is what it is, my friends. Unfortunately, this game works like this. It's very weird, but even if it says that it is below the VRAM limit, it's actually already reached the VRAM limit, or maybe the game actually prevents the GPU from hitting the VRAM limit and starts swapping things before it hits the VRAM limit, which is weird and annoying. I don't know why it does that. Probably something to do with it being a PlayStation port, you know, and the memory management on the PlayStation 5, given that the RAM and the VRAM are the same thing in the PS5. So yeah, something funky is going on, all right? But as you can see, even in worst case scenario, we managed to get 52 frames per second on average and 39 1% lows. It doesn't drop from 30. Yes, it's a little bit less consistent than previously, but it is playable. Let's check it out in one of the other areas, back in the woods right here. And now you can see that the RAM utilization went down considerably to the 11 gigabyte mark, 11 to 12 gigabytes. And the VRAM usage is at 4.6 4.2-ish gigabytes of usage right there, which is much better than it was before. That frame time graph is also way smoother right now, and it is also getting more FPS than previously with 60 on average. That's pretty impressive. Once again, guys, I'm not gonna lie. God damn it. How do I jump on top of that thing? Oh, maybe over there. Yeah, climbing these things. Maybe I can do that, but I don't have time now, I think. This thing is fast as heck, actually. Well, there are invisible bad things over here. Look at that. Look at that. Stop it. Stop it. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Dropping down into the 50s again now. Yeah, not a problem, though. You know what? Since 95% of the game is going to take place in areas like this one, I think you're fine with medium settings with the GTX 1660 Ti. Yeah, it's gonna drop into the 50s, but who cares really, right? Most of the time it's gonna be a 60-ish FPS experience, like right now. It's gonna look fantastic on medium settings. Textures, again, leave something to be desired, but they're passable at the moment, and it just looks great at 1080p using these settings. So yeah. Really nice results right here, guys, on medium settings. Better than what I was expecting, honestly. Maybe because new games are so broken and not optimized usually. I was expecting this to deliver much worse results. Last time that I tested the 1660 Super, well, it wasn't really last time, but I remember testing it a month ago or two in Enshrouded, an indie title, early access one. I mean, of course, they don't have the budget that the guys over at Nixus have. But that game on the 1660 Super, which is around 5% slower than the Ti over here, was running at like 30 FPS, 1080p medium settings, with some drops into the 20s, and it looked so much worse than this. And playing that game, I don't know, my expectations readjusted. And I started thinking that the 1660 Ti was worse than it actually is. But when a game is optimized, it can still produce very beautiful visuals, as you can see, indeed. So yeah, I would definitely play like this, guys. Medium settings at 1080p resolution. Look at this. Look at these visuals right here. Lots of vibrancy as well. What are those things doing? Oh, people are fighting the robots right here. Interesting. Never seen this happen before. Now, next up, we should try it on high settings. And you can see a little bit of a difference right there in the graphics. The shadows look way better now, the lighting as well. The textures will look insane compared to what we've seen so far. But I think it's gonna stutter way more pretty much everywhere. So let's restart the game. All right, here we go. High settings preset, my friends, looking gorgeous. Oh my goodness. 5 gigabytes of VRAM usage now with 11 gigabytes of RAM utilization. So in this area, the 6 gigabytes of VRAM are still enough, but as we start loading more things into the VRAM, it will inevitably start swapping, so there's that, my friends. Alright, don't expect a very smooth gameplay experience all of the time here with the 1660 Ti using these settings, but it's holding up pretty well so far, actually. 12 gigs of RAM usage. I thought by now it would already have hit like 13 gigabytes of RAM usage, you know. It's pretty impressive, actually, guys, in this area. Oh boy, that's a really big one. Oh, what the heck? What is going on? What is this? Holy crap! He just spawned the burning shores over here. Oh boy! What the hell? It's like a big human thing, but it's a robot. It's Crisis. We're playing Crisis right now, my friends. That's it. Also, FPS are not dropping from 30 frames, so if you want to lock it to 30 FPS, you can still have that console-like experience with way better graphics now and actually good textures at the moment. So that's really nice to see, and I need to craft more arrows. Come on, come on. There we go. Oh boy, look at that. Damn, this is interesting. And somehow, again, that RAM utilization is still stable. So is that VRAM utilization. 4 gigabytes, 4.9 gigabytes at the moment. That's insane how much more VRAM the DLC consumes. Maybe they haven't optimized it as well as the base title, you know? The graphics are just breathtaking. You might actually enjoy this experience more than the medium settings experience just because of how much better this looks. I'm not really sure. I myself am not sure if I would choose medium settings over high settings at this point, just because it's not really stuttering. If it did stutter quite a lot here on high, I would be mad at this experience. And I wouldn't really play like this. Well, I can't really be mad because the graphics are amazing. But yeah, I would choose medium settings for sure. But now, I'm not sure, guys. I am really not sure. This looks fantastic. All right, I'm going to stop it there, guys. And I want to load another save, okay? I'm not going to the Burning Shores area just yet on high settings. I'm going to a little bit more intensive area than this one, but a little bit less intensive than Burning Shores. And as you can see around here, it's already swapping things into the RAM, 13.5 gigabytes there. Yep, it's consuming quite a bit more right now. And the VRAM went down because it swapped things, of course, and it's dropping into the 30s a little bit more often, I guess. Still, again, you're gonna come across a few stutters here and there, but is it worth it to utilize high settings? It's up to you. I think I can live with this. The performance is still very acceptable for the graphics here, and you should definitely enjoy these beautiful graphics. Alright, I'm gonna stop it right there, and let's go to the Burning Shores now. But I'm actually gonna restart the game just to make sure that we start fresh there in the DLC. Here we are, ooh, in the Burning Shores at high settings. It is running heavily out of VRAM. It's at 14.5 gigabytes of RAM usage at the moment, so it swapped a lot of things already, and because of that, we're getting 20s. Yep, when it starts swapping a ton of stuff, it drops the FPS like crazy, as you can see. So it's not going to be 30 plus FPS 100% of the time if you plan on playing the Burning Shores DLC, and if you do, you really gotta lower it down to medium settings in this area, because it's just... it goes to hell. As you can see, at this point it's getting very similar FPS to what the RX 580 did, I think. It's such a difference whenever you run out of VRAM in this title, guys. It makes a really big difference. Alright, medium textures now, gonna restart. Look at that. Just by lowering the textures to medium, we're getting like 5 to 10 more frames per second than previously. And over here is actually where it drops the most, and it's only dropping to 30 frames per second. It gets close to dropping from 30 though, not gonna lie. So that's a bit concerning still. But yeah, you can actually play the Burning Shores with everything on high aside from the textures. And if you want to make sure you're 100% of the time above 30 FPS and it doesn't really dip, it didn't yet, but I guess it will if we kept playing like this. But yeah, if you want to make sure, just overclock the card a little bit and you will be able to achieve 30 plus 100% of the time. I mean, we are getting 30 plus 100% of the time, but it's just to make sure. There we go, finally. It dropped to 28 FPS, so... yeah, nothing that a little overclock won't fix for the little GTX 1660 Ti. Once again, 29 over here, 28. So if you want the most stable experience, obviously just choose medium settings, everything with medium textures. If you want to play the base game with really pretty graphics and smooth gameplay still, high settings with high textures at the same time. And if you want the best of both worlds, good performance in the DLC and very good performance or very decent performance in the base game, you gotta go with high settings with medium textures. Good stuff, my friends. Pretty nice. I really thought the 1660 Ti didn't really have what it takes to play this game properly, but here we are, playing at high settings with medium textures, 1080p resolution, and it's providing a good experience, an alright experience, right? Not bad. Not using any upscalings either, so the 1080p resolution looks great. TAA looks really good in this game as well, so I recommend you to utilize it. If you turn it off, it gets too shimmery, so there's that. And yeah, it's stable, it's playable, it's better than I expected. So here we go. I think this is it. I guess I could test it on very high settings as well, just for fun. Let's see if it runs out of VRAM now in the base game. But I think we've covered the most important settings already for this card at the moment in this particular game. Look at this. Very high settings, guys. I'm gonna go to the settings again because even I can't believe it. 1080p, TAA, no upscaling, very high settings. See, this game can vary a lot in performance. Oh my god! And indeed it does. It just swapped some things into the RAM, and a lot of them things were swapped, and we got a massive stutter there. So, obviously very high isn't something that you should consider with the 1660 Ti. It's not unplayable though, so at least there's that. But yeah, just play on high, stick to high textures as well, and play a stutter-free experience, 30 plus FPS all of the time, with beautiful graphics still. This looks amazing, but it looks kind of the same as high settings. High settings already looked amazing as well. So that's been it. Thanks very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.